Bazooka Nation, let's start today's Monday brain dump. Not like off the record talking. We'll talk on the record. So
he just pushes record. I asked him a question.
The topic of today's conversation is slang terms boomers don't understand. So use this opportunity. This is a giveaway. Insert bells. Drop some terms, some slang that you never understood in the comments.
There's one term.
Mid-bussin'.
No, those I know.
Etc.
This isn't even a term. Andrew is younger than me. I know you guys. People who have tuned in early on know that because Andrew looked like he was 28 years old and I looked like I was 50. But if you tuned in the last 6 months now, Andrew looks older than me now. I mean, like I've lost a lot of weight. Andrew's found it. And, he's done this crazy thing with his, I don't know, he looks like Moses. He's got, tablets. He's got, a whole thing going on. So I'm going to let the boomer, Andrew, ask me, the young guy here, the hip, cool cat.
What does eating Kit Kats in the shower really mean?
So before this, what I said to Andrew was figuring he's younger than me. And he's up with the hip slang. He talks to the youngsters. He high posts in the club. I don't. I was wondering, if there was some sort of a urban dictionary term here, or there's something I should be knowing because, card porn is being attacked, which is weird, because they're just kind of like a nothing now. I mean, I don't even see any posts from them anymore. So it's weird to it's like saying Lamar Odom's not a good basketball player anymore. Like, okay, the time to attack Lamar Odom has come and gone. Let's talk about.
You got to pounce when the moment is right.
But so all of a sudden, I see a bunch of people. I'm great for them. They're making names. I mean, Hobby Shark and AIH and all these guys. And I have no problem with it. They can do their thing. My specific question was, they keep saying card porn eats Kit Kats in the shower, and they even have little pictures of Kit Kats and little emoji Kit Kats, and they eat Kit Kats. So I said, all right, let me come on here before we go live, not to make this an episode. I say, hey, Andrew, I got to ask you, you're a young happening kid here. What does it mean? What does it mean to eat Kit Kats in the shower? Is that saying something bad? Is it some sort of is it like getting a dirty Sanchez? What does it mean? You know what that is? Do I have to teach you that?
I don't know how graphic you want to be for our listeners.
But I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't know what eating a Kit Kat in the shower means. I have no idea.
Those guys with pitchforks you described? You're them. Their marketing is for you.
Their marketing?
Their marketing is for you.
So how am I them? I'm just asking you about a Kit Kat in the shower, thinking hey, if this means something,
just go get a Kit Kat. We all know what it means. You want to get a Kit Kat. As soon as you saw that Kit Kat, you're like, do I go get Julie's coffee run early?
There are Kit Kats in the kitchen here from Halloween that I don't even touch them. They go in the bucket with the Smarties and the Tootsie Roll. They're not even worth my time with Kit Kat. Ugh. Kit Kat, gross.
I want to yes and improv you here. So what do you?
No, but so the answer is there is no saying that we're aware of. This is not something. It's not a specific terminology, some term of art that youngsters are using.
Gage, my days of being a part of the cool kid crowd are long gone, man. I'm a 33-year-old who likes to talk about sports, watch the NBA, and collect graphics of cards,
That's a fun way of saying collect graphics because you don't actually get the cards. They're just in an electronic vault somewhere. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that.
So
dude, listen, I didn't want to make an episode out of it, but
any chance I had to be a part of the cool crew, I was blocked a week ago, and then 2 weeks ago, I had a message saying I don't want to piss off the wrong people. So I don't know. What I want to talk about is how mid Kirk Cousins is. Did you see the graphic the Wharf posted?
No.
That Justin Jefferson is the first ever wide receiver to catch 9 balls that were thrown his way, even though the catch probability was less than 50%.
Okay. That makes sense. You're throwing it to double coverage. This is the game.
Justin Jefferson amazing? I literally, you ragged your brain today about Kit Kats and showers. I was looking through statistics of old quarterbacks to find someone to compare Kirk Cousins to. That was my day, Cage. And I could not find a comp. I could not find a single comp.
A Kirk Cousins comp. Joe Flacco?
No, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. And Joe Flacco had a cannon. An absolute cannon.
Before he was inaccurate. He had a good team around him. He wasn't the reason why the team had any success. And he threw up a lot of 50-50 balls. I mean, I'm just coming up with names. Kirk Cousins is a 50-50 ball thrower. And you're able to do that when you have guys who are out there who can catch the ball. You say he's not talented. I say he's just got faith in Justin Jefferson. He's got faith in the people that they put around him, to catch passes.
So why not throw those passes in games that don't go? Like, why wait till the end of the game?
You don't have to. I mean, he's throwing to Justin Jefferson like that because you're. That's why they call it a Hail Mary, right? You've been to church, you're like pray, like you don't do a Hail Mary when you don't have to throw up a prayer.
So I think Vikings fans would agree with me. They're kind of sick of the close games. This team is so talented that they should be able to blow things out.
8-1, and the only loss is to a team that's 8-0. I don't think they're sick of anything. I think they're pretty thrilled. I think Vikings fans are pretty thrilled. You want to call them cardiac kids? Sure. But this year, in one-score games, they're undefeated. 7-0, I think, in one-score games, if my stats were right from yesterday's Whatnot show. So last year, they were on the other end of that. Listen, this is what happens. This is today's day. This is today's game, right? I mean, just like basketball is almost unwatchable for me now because there's no such thing as defense anymore. And I mean, in one night where Darius Garland scores 51 points, it doesn't matter because Joel Embiid scored 59. The Knicks Thunder game was like 400 points scored between the two of them. There's like no defense at all. Why? Because everybody's chucking. Because it's better to take those shots that you have a 30% chance of hitting, right? Take 3 shots that you have a 38% chance of hitting instead of 2 shots that you have a 50% chance of hitting. And those 3 shots are worth 3 points each. It's the same thing as football. Football has become, look, go get a guy to throw the ball up to, Randy Moss. Go get a tight end who can, who catch the ball, throw it up, and, hopefully your guy can make a play. Burrow did it all the way to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, is Cousins not good? Sure. But here's the thing, dude. A football team can't pay for everyone, right? So
they paid for Cousins, and he's the worst contract in history. They would be better with a rookie quarterback.
But they were able to pay for Cousins because they didn't have to pay Justin Jefferson yet. They didn't have to pay the other talent that's around them. Even Hawkinson, who they traded for, has a team-friendly deal through next year. You can't get them all. Tell me somebody who has them all in the league right now.
Let me explain.
Okay? Even the Chiefs, they were able to keep Mahomes, who you love, but watched Tyreek Hill walk because you can't have it all. That's what a salary cap does.
So I love Vikings fans, and I love this franchise because I saw them at the hands of Aaron Rodgers get decimated for basically a decade. Okay. And now I'm like, they have an incredible, talented team, and I'm seeing this inept quarterback. I can't even think of it.
He's 8-1. How's he inept? He's 8-1.
Be at the helm of this team when I'm like, oh man, I already see this coming. They're going to be so close. The game, as it always does, comes down to the quarterback. And this guy looks like a deer in the headlights, either going to get sacked or he's going to throw up a Hail Mary ball to Justin Jefferson. Those are literally the only 2 options. And you have to hope that he bails them out. They even almost lost that game yesterday, Cage, despite how everything broke in their favor. Think about that. They almost lost that game, even though everything broke in their favor.
So what? It's football.
Okay. The wildly interesting episode for me. You want to talk about Kit Kats in the shower, and actually what we're here for is football. You go blank screen.
No, but so what is your point? Kirk Cousins is not a great quarterback? You can't have a great quarterback and great talent around you for a length of time in the NFL. He's as good as they're going to be able to get. What are you planning on doing? So Kirk Cousins is bad. Granted. What's next? You want to talk about football? What's the next part? I can tie it back to my Kit Kats because you love the Minnesota fans. You feel for the Minnesota fans. What's Skol mean? SKOL, that they all say. Skol. Skol. See, you're no use to me, man. I mean, I don't know what that means either. But you're the one who brings up the Vikings. You spent time today looking up quarterback comps. But Skol, they all say SKOL. What does that mean? What's that? I mean, look it up for me while we're doing this. I don't even know what it means, but skol, S-K-O-L. I don't know what the hell it is.
It means
but
cheers.
They all have signs up. Is
it
like
means cheers in Danish?
Cheers in Danish.
According to Google.
So skol, they all say it. I see the Vikings fans. Skol. Okay.
It's actually a Danish, Norwegian, Swedish word.
Could use a Danish. I mean,
bro,
so
are you hungry?
Vikings.
Are you like not eating carbs? And what's happening?
I'm definitely not eating carbs. I've lost a lot of weight. I'm not eating carbs, but that's not it. No, what's it? We're 10 minutes in. I asked you a question you couldn't answer. Then you turned it into this episode. Then you bring in Kirk Cousins, who we all know is terrible. Like, what do you expect me to say as a conversation part of Cousins? Do you also want me to defend Nat Turner again? Do I have to go down the road of episodes that I can't?
That's the come.
You want me to
defend?
I not understand? You want me to defend?
Okay, so here, I'm buying Justin Fields today. Tell me why I'm an idiot.
You're an idiot. You're 100%. You if you're buying Justin Fields today, you better be ready to sell him like next week. Right? As a matter of fact, if you buy it today, you better get it in hand and get your ass on a plane and fly out to the Chicago show this week and sell them there. Because that would be a perfect strategy.
So you're not a believer in Fields long term?
No, how can you be? How can you be? Were you a believer in Michael Vick long term? Were you a believer in Randall Cunningham long term? Were you a believer in any of the Lamar even? Lamar, I like Lamar, but I'm not a believer in Lamar long term either. Because the style of play does not allow for longevity. It's exactly the reason why you don't like Josh Allen. And Fields is even more extreme version of the run-first quarterback. I love what he's doing. I think it's great. For a single season, it's almost like Aaron Judge putting up those home runs. And then what happens, right? It's almost the same thing. I love what Fields is doing. He's going to put up some interesting. He's going to put up some great numbers. I think he has 700 something rushing yards already. Do you remember when we were at the Chantilly show, we sat down with Mike Vick and I said, who's the next quarterback's got a shot at 1,000 yards? And he said, no one. I said, but Lamar's doing. He says, yeah, he's got a shot to do it a couple of weeks. You can get 100 yards a couple of weeks, but not do it over the length of a season. That was a couple of weeks ago. Fields is going to get 1,000 yards. Clearly.
I have the audio. I'm going to do I'm going to do a mashup of all of because we did 5-10 minute podcasts at Chantilly with Mattingly, Vic, Bailey, and then Terrell Davis, but he said don't air this, so I'll just probably put a song over that one. And I'll do a mashup. It'll be fun.
Yep.
You guys could listen to my amazing questions and
mash up. I like it. Oh, mash it up. All right. So I like Fields. You're asking me about Fields. You're amazing for our audience because our audience also woke up today and said, you know what, Fields is awesome. That's 2 straight weeks of great stuff. I've seen story after story about how hard this environment is, and Fields Silver PSA 10 Prism Rookie is the card that people post in their story. They show how much it was last year, then they show how much it was coming into the season, then how much it was week 1, then week 4, and all it's done is go like this. So your thought, of course, is, wow, shit, I can get him as a bargain now. He's my contrary player.
That's a supply shock.
The time to get him was 2-3 weeks ago, before this happened, and sell it now. Now, anybody who has held Fields, this is your exit time. And the exit liquidity, once again, is you, Mr. Goldberg. Because Justin Fields, here's your window. You have a window of Fields right now of possibly 6 or 8 weeks. Possibly 6 to 7 weeks, a month and a half to get rid of Fields. Why? His team's not making the playoffs. Playoffs? He's not making the playoffs. He's not making the playoffs at all. So what do you have? A couple more weeks where you're buying Fields, hoping that he has 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard rushing season, and that's pretty awesome for a quarterback. Fantastic. What's the upside from now? People are already baking that into the price that they're paying this week because he's over 700 yards. So what's the potential exit? He has 200 yards rushing next week. Okay, maybe the card's up 10-15% from there. Sell it if you haven't sold it now. Now's the time to sell, not buy.
What did you and Jaded Wolf talk about today?
We talk about shows. We talk about the Boston show. She has some great points, man. Even I learned about great points. There are parts of the hobby that and this is good, man. It's like a preview of the show. We'll release it probably Wednesday or something like that. But I really enjoy sitting down and talking to her. Like, I can talk for 3 hours because she sees parts of the hobby collecting circle of life that we don't get exposed to. Even going to a show, unless you do what she's doing, you don't see it. And one of the cool things we talked about today are repacks and the role of a repacker, not just going to a show where you know there are repackers going to be there. How does that change the inventory you bring? How does that change how you approach a show from the dealer perspective? Somebody who's doing like mystery packs, right? Somebody who's, I got 100 packs, here's the 10 high end, here's some, whatever it is. And I'm going to make sure that everybody gets at least 60% of their buy-in, maybe 70% of the buy-in, but some people are really going to do well. It caps the high side. You basically repacks, and there are some big time repackers who do it. And we really, I asked a lot of questions because to end it, basically the story I have was it's all symbiosis, right? It's all part of the ecosystem of the hobby, that those repackers, they can provide, an opening experience with a little bit of a gamble with a capped upside and a capped downside for people who want to buy rather than buying sealed product, right? But more importantly, they also provide liquidity flow into the market. You go to a show and you're a dealer and you know already that you can offload some of your inventory to these guys at a low price because they're going to have to resell it in the mystery packs, the whole deal. You now have capital to buy cards from foot traffic during the show, right? You
wholesale in a way. You are the Costco providing these repackers inventory, and if you're a good Costco, you know the specific type of cards that this repacker might want to sell to their
flow of money. And I mean, in the beginning of the season, right? Let's say you took a gamble on two quarterbacks. You took a gamble on Mac Jones and Justin Fields. Okay? Well, maybe week 6, you were selling both of them to the repackers, right? Or maybe you held on to them. And these, repacks now Fields is huge for them in Chicago. You know what I mean? And they're paying more. Like, it allows you to take your gamble on stuff, and you as a dealer, you're also capping your low side because you're gonna you can be able to offboard the quarterbacks, you name it, in season to these guys who now are going to be able to sell a Fields as one of their big ticket items in their repack.
So is the cycle of hobby life? Is it buy slabs, go to a show and set them up, and if do that for 2-3 weeks, and if no one buys, move them to wholesale, get them into repacker's hands, get cash and rebuy.
It's part of it. And the other thing that was fun that we talked about is how we talked about it with the card father Burbank, Ron Ferris, right? We talked about how your observations from the Dallas show about how basically just people are cutting each other's heads off. It's like, I'm going to buy here for 60%. Next week, go to a show and sell the same car 120.
Comp cutters. If you guys want to create a show, comp cutters, I take 5% royalty.
And you layer in performance, that there is still a gamble. And what Black Shade of Wolf talked about on it was, look, you have to make your play, right? It's not just I'm going to buy something now and sell it in 2 weeks for more money. That worked 2 years ago. That worked a year and a half ago when everything was going up. Okay, great. But now the ones you are going to make money on are the ones that are performing. And that's why she said her preseason plays were Hurts and Tua. So it's not always going to be correct. Those were 2 good plays. And even in a quote unquote down market, those are plays that you can sell. And she has sold some and is continuing to sell some now. We talked about the World Cup and when to sell some World Cup stuff. Read into it today, like now. So, I mean, a lot of showcase on the World Cup stuff. Every auction house basically has got some big end World Cup stuff going on in their auctions now.
This World Cup can be a disaster. This World Cup could be a huge disaster.
As long as they have Kit Kats and showers, we're good.
Dude, get it off your mind. Anyone who
I just want to know what it means.
Onto a show, disable the comments. He's so easily distracted. This guy is so interesting. What an interesting fella. I had a call with him the other day, and then I was like, Cage, it's a little hard to hear you. It's like, fucking, it's a stupid case that I get on top of my phone, and sometimes it pulls it. All these Drew Bledsoe cards all over the fucking.
I didn't say that.
But no, dude, this World Cup could be an absolute disaster. It's poorly marketed. It's going to be so expensive to do anything in Qatar, and there's no they're not even marketing Ronaldo and Messi's last World Cup. This can be a shit show. and I'm very not for cards. Cards, I don't think soccer cards ran as much, so there's not like that issue. But this could be a very weird World Cup. I'll put it that way. Unprecedented World Cup. Dude, they've never had it in Thanksgiving. It's already in a country that's never hosted a World Cup. Everything is so expensive. Do you see where they're putting people to sleep in?
Yes, they're containers. $200 a night for containers.
Yeah.
I saw that. It was pretty amazing. They should build it here. Get rid of like homelessness. Pretty cool.
Solving two different problems with one solution. Like we're entertaining people in like the richest country in the world and shipping containers, and then here we're solving. I don't know, man. What do I know? It could be amazing. What else is top of mind? Anything that's?
I mean, are you excited for World Cup, man? I mean, we're days away from that thing starting off, right? I mean, it's this week it starts.
Yeah, but what it's going to be? Here's the issue. First off, World Cup is tough because international teams don't play a lot together. But then you add in now club teams were playing and international teams had no flow. So the first 3 games, it's just going to be chaos. And soccer doesn't fit. Like chaotic soccer is not good soccer. Soccer where you know all of your teammates and their movements and you can pass and move and really understand your teammates well, that's good soccer. I'm worried that it's going to be shitty soccer for group stages. We'll get 2 or 3 good games, quarterfinals, semis, maybe a few beautiful goals, and then that'll be it.
Part of the reason why I thought Croatia, because it's the same team. They play together. They know each other. Serbia, I think, is another dark horse. Good team. They don't have these superstars that are coming in and, going to try to fit in and all that other fun stuff. So,
like, think about it. 1 week ago, let's say Tottenham played Arsenal and Harry Kane was going against, Saka, right? They're competitors. They're trying to kill each other. Then a week later, they're supposed to be best friends and teammates and know how each other plays.
Yeah,
it doesn't even make any sense. So
I'm selling my stuff now. This week I got a whole bunch of Moose Kaka cards. SGC 10 from Bundesliga. The Bundesliga Chromes. I got a whole bunch of those. They're up. They're for sale.
You're addicted to the cash, to the cash and the T-bills.
No, he made the team. I mean, the injury helped, but he made the team. Moose Kaka.
Talk to me about those T-bills that you recommended a little while ago that people
T-bills. I-bills.
What are they called?
I-bills. They're inflation. They're locked into the inflation for 6 months.
Why did you recommend them?
Because if people have cash laying around, their cash is worth less because of inflation. With inflation rates going up, your dollar buys less. And these you're able to buy $10,000 worth per Social Security number. The interest rate you get on them are they're tied to the inflation rate. And so, I mean, you're talking about like 7, 8, 9% on these things, the most recent lock-in period. And so the thought was that don't have $10,000 cash sitting around because, that $10,000 cash will only have like $9,800 worth of buying power or $9,600 worth of buying power.
Easy to convert back.
Yeah, there's no broker. It's all right done through the government website. So easy stuff. I sent the link to a bunch of our listeners bought. It's limited how much you can put in. That's the only thing. But I mean, look, it's part of a balanced investment strategy. Right? You always want to have something to hedge against inflation. So people thought it was Bitcoin.
Right now, you're holding your best stuff and basically trimming the fat. You're a big trim the fat guy when it comes to hobby. You must trim the fat. Like, is it fair to say semi-annually, twice a year?
Yeah, I'm almost out of fat. I'm almost out of fat. That's what happens. I almost have no fat left to trim. Okay. I mean, I'd love to have some more fat because you trim the fat, you wind up with money.
You wind up with money, but sometimes it's painful, like trimming that fat because you could have had more money if you never bought the fat.
I mean, see, we call it fat, right? So, I mean, you're trimming the fat. Let's actually, parse it out a little bit for some value for our audience. I do this, when there are ebbs and flows in the hobby because, what I consider fat changes over time, and it changes based on, what I see in the marketplace. So right now, honestly, because also I have a long-term window on most things that I think are going to be held. Now that changes. Sometimes I'm selling that, I'm moving it, I don't care. But my goal is to get down to cards that I don't mind holding and giving to Ian, that I don't mind holding for 10-year window and seeing if they go up like crazy. But
so why not get a one-of-one Mahomes? One-of-one Mahomes gold.
Dude,
Like,
this is tough, man. It's very tough because
if you have a long-term window, you clearly see he's the best.
yeah, but which one should I buy? The tape, the eye black. Like, what should I buy? Tell me which one. Show me pictures of the two that you think I should buy.
The prism. I can't afford his. No, but like I get the derivative shit, but like his prism. There's one on Premiere right now.
Honestly, the thing that scares me about Mahomes and why it's not something that I would put in my trimmed fat scenario. My stuff is Babe Ruth. My stuff is Mickey Mantle. My stuff is goats who have already done their thing, and they're not going to 5x, they're not going to 10x, but they may 5 or 10x over a decade, which is great, right? I'm not going to get that, Mahomes Super Bowl bump that may happen, with big money now. I don't, especially with football, the problem I have with it, maybe I'd buy something and put some small amount in, just have some fun, have some, stake in the game, a little different bet kind of deal. It's more of a gamble, is spending that kind of money on Mahomes, who's still playing. One, he may never win again. Now, I think he will win again, but one, he may never win again. If he never wins again, the Cards are not going up from where they are. They're not. Okay? And number two, it's football. He's a quarterback. He plays a very dangerous sport, and he plays a very dangerous position. He could get hurt even from non-contact, especially the way that he plays the game. So there is a significant amount more risk to football. Is there more upside to a Mahomes card than buying a Mickey Mantle card? Sure.
Upside? But with NFTs, your demeanor is so different.
Well, NFTs was less about like, wow, I need to hold this thing forever. You were, let's be collectors. I was like, all right, follow the money,
NFTs, you thought maybe we could, like, to me, sometimes I don't get it, because I'm like, either people really, really speculate and get who's the next X, right?
Yeah.
Or they go safe. But to me, you have like a guy like Mahomes who's both of those. He's so safe
but he's not safe. No one playing now is safe.
Other than injury risk, he's as safe as they get, but yet people chase Allen, Hurts to
yes, and there's a reason for that, right?
And because they're
the alternate, right? So they're the alternate, right? So I mean, why are you not buying Tom Brady?
I think Tom Brady's a buy too.
Okay, but you're pushing Mahomes, and you've bought Mahomes and not Brady. Why? Because
Brady, if he doesn't do a single thing, his stuff is already legacy.
You would like to think that, but so that's more me. You are more Mahomes. I would say to you, I'd rather be Brady, even though I haven't bought any Brady. I'd rather be Brady than Mahomes, because I think everybody thinks Mahomes can be better than Brady, is what your argument is. The Josh Allen crowd, look, I'm part of this. I was a Carmelo Anthony collector rather than LeBron James. That was a mistake. That did not work out well for me. I was like, wow, everybody likes this guy. I'm going to go the other way. And that's what Josh Allen is too. That's what Tua is. That's what all these guys are. That's what Jalen Hurts people love this season, because when people were flaunting their Herbert cards and they were buying their Hurts cheaper, you want to find the guy that doesn't start here and have to do everything perfect to go up. You want to find the guy that's here and you can ride that train up, because then you're making money the entire way. What people miss, though, is when to get off. And what's funny about it is, I'll give you a perfect example. You see, prospecting the whole deal. Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons. I call him that because he's basically a younger,
if you say
better
Simmons,
shooting Ben. No, so you understand what I'm saying, right? So Anthony Simons, who is the third best player on his team, okay? And he's a great young player. He's very young. He's a great young player. He's a perfect example of this. And we know people who were in on him early, thought that he was a talent, were buying him for next to nothing, and have rode that wave of his cards up. And he's performing well now, and the cards sell for a lot of money. I think even the biggest Anthony Simons prospector who's out there right now would say that they have expectations for him as a player that don't reach the level of an all-time great. That he's not going to be LeBron. He's not going to be Michael Jordan. He's going to be a lot better than anybody thought he was. He'll be an all-star. He'll be an all-NBA player. But so's Damian Lillard, right? So was Anthony Davis for quite some time. So was Kawhi Leonard. Like, I think even if you got him to that level, you got to be thrilled. But if that's your upside for a guy like that, well, then even the most staunch supporters of him should be selling him now. Because what people miss, it's the forest for the trees. People who have been in this for even 5 years, right? They haven't seen a whole cycle of this. I watched what happens to the best quarterbacks. I watched what happens to the cards of Troy Aikman. I watched what happens to the cards of Joe Montana and Steve Young, right? And John Elway and Dan Marino, right? I watched all those cards. I watched the running backs. You love these running backs. I watched Jerry Rice, right? And those cards, what eventually happens is people don't give a shit anymore. Why people care a little bit now is because you do the whole comparison thing. You do the whole comparison thing. And there's a whole marketing push behind it because there's only so many times you can market buying the hot quarterback of the week. No, now you have to market. You have to pull your boat into the wharf, and you have to market these things and say, "Wow, if this goes for this, that Peyton Manning from way back in the day that no one was even looking at, that's got to be something important." And hey, if we're paying this much, Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time. Shouldn't his PMG?
So don't buy Peyton Manning.
I bought Peyton Manning. I got caught up in the ritz and the glitz and the glamour and the bullshit. And if somebody offered me my money back on my Peyton Manning buys today, I probably would take it.
So buy Mantle and buy Ruth. Cage his way on the hobby. Super fucking fun.
Whoever said this is supposed to be fun?
That's literally our motto. Are you having
fun collecting these?
That's
these
what
cards.
Eating a Kit Kat in the shower is. It's
fun.
But eating a Kit Kat in the shower is
gross.
Fun.
No, you're gonna get melted chocolate over here. So my fun is different than yours. Your fun is flipping. Your fun is flipping the cards. Your fun is betting. Basically, you're turning cards into betting. My fun is different than that. My fun is this is something I did as a kid. I want to own cards that I couldn't own before. I want to collect these things. Your fun is very different than mine, and there's nothing wrong with either way of doing that. It's less fun for me to buy somebody and be basically worried that every time he gets hit that he's going to tear his ACL. You know what I mean? Like that's not fun for me. I wouldn't do that, but you know me.
Basketball,
that's why I'm a dividend investor and not a penny stock buyer. You know,
so when Jordan Belfort called you in the '80s, what did you say to him? I got this amazing stock.
Get the lewds. I'm not gonna die sober. That's what I said to him. I don't know what Jordan Belfort. Sell me the damn pen, you bum. No, dude. I mean, listen. You
sign $1 million contract that we're putting together.
Different ways of having fun.
You'd buy the pen, wouldn't you?
I think you need it all, right? Because I guess where I go, I need a pen, right? To sign $1 million contract. Everything's great. 100%. I hear you. Think about it this way. If you're right and these guys' cards go up and Fanatics comes in and all these ultra modern cards are valuable and Mahomes' cards are valuable and you're right and Mahomes is the guy, Mahomes' cards values go up, okay? And you win. Right? But if Mahomes' cards values go up and more people come into the hobby and everything is great, well, then you know what also probably goes up? Maybe not as much as Mahomes. But you know what also goes up? Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and Joe Montana. They trail your Mahomes win. But here's where it gets fun. All right? For you to win, Fanatics has to come in and bring more people in to make your Mahomes worth more money and all this other fun stuff.
That was not in my calculation.
What if Mahomes doesn't become the next great one? Josh Allen does. Okay?
Did you see his interception?
Who else should I use? Lamar Jackson? Jalen Hurts? Just give me another name. Trey Lance. What if Trey Lance becomes the next big thing? Then you're actually losing money on your Mahomes. But Trey Lance turns into the next big thing. And all these people are buying Trey Lance, and all these people are buying cards, and more people in it. Guess what? Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Joe Montana, they're all going up.
So you're saying let the shiny new quarterback be your marketing engine
But I don't have to pick the right one. As long as there is one, I win.
Okay, Luca Nation, you heard it here first. Buy $50,000 cards. Good advice.
It doesn't have to be a $50,000 card. Somebody came in and gave us a very smart question in one of our chats, which we still go into every now and again, right? And they said, "Hey, you can have as much as 10 cards." Did you read my answer?
You were probably
a great answer.
What did you say?
So it was you could buy as many as 10 cards with a $15,000 budget. What do you buy right now to put away? What do you buy?
Buy a corner of a Honus Wagner card.
No, I gave I think it was 6 or 7 cards, but I gave like a 54 Aaron in PSA 3. I gave a Clemente rookie in either 3 or 4, Jim Brown rookie I think in like 4 or 5. Iconic cards. Look at that PWCC iconic list. Cards that are still attainable and approachable at decent enough grades that allow you to get into them. I was looking at like a 51 Bowman Mantle, but they're a little too expensive even at PSA 1. But no, you don't have to buy $50,000 cards. You can buy $2,000 cards, $1,000 cards, and those will move. You can even go down lower, right? I mean, what I've been looking at recently, an AIH strategy, I'll give them credit on it, right, is buying those second, third, fourth, fifth year maze cards. Don't have to buy the 51 Bowman or the 52 Tops. Buy 55, buy 57, buy 56. Nice, cool card with an action shot and the face on it. Buy it in PSA 3. It's a couple $100. It's less than you're paying for your Anthony Simons cards.
A lot of interesting points. Okay. What else other than your boring investment strategy into cards?
But what's wrong with how I invest in cards? It's how I always have. Right? I mean, you've seen my Babe Ruth and my Lou Gehrig's, and the slabs are so old on them
30.
because I've owned them.
Ruth.
Listen, there's also there are things that scare me. One of the things that we talked about with Cardfather, and give him credit, Lou Genou, for being silly, but maybe having a point. They were talking about aging out, right? And the card shows back in the 90s, it was like everybody was white and 45 years old. There was no diversity and no youngsters coming in, no youth. I was like, wow, shit. This hobby can get silly. Lou Genou said, if Joe Montana walked up to him in the street and punched him in the nose, he wouldn't know who he was. That's a little silly, but he did say that. So one of the things that worries me is, sure, Babe Ruth, right? Okay, I think everyone's going to know who Babe Ruth is, but I have tobacco cards of Ty Cobb. Right now, those have value, right?
Michael Jordan wasn't on your list of cards to buy.
Right, because it's very hard to buy even a low-grade Michael Jordan and still build a portfolio up for $10,000 or $15,000. So that was part of the reason. Also, I tried to stick with when cards weren't printed as much, and even when they were printed, they weren't saved. So I tried to stick with 50s because the reason why those cards from the 50s have value is because nobody was putting them in penny sleeves. They're putting them in bicycle spokes. They were flipping them.
So because everyone destroyed cards, that's why your cards are valuable.
They're scarce.
You guys heard it here first.
Supply
doesn't matter about the auction house buyers premium cutting that from 20 to 10. Doesn't matter. Grading fees lowered. Doesn't matter. Destroy every single Prism card you see starting now.
Listen, if you
put them in your bicycle, folks.
If you destroyed a bunch, like if somebody went and bought, a couple thousand PSA 10 Zions and melted them all down and roasted them all, sure, Zion stuff would go up. I wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of silly, but yes, it is. It does come down to supply and demand. So I didn't go with Jordan because there's a lot buybacks. There's a lot of Jordan cards. What makes the Jordan, crazy is, it's scarce and high grade, relatively scarce. No, but so sticking with me here, everyone's gonna know who Michael Jordan is, and everyone's gonna know the Michael Jordan card. But someone like me, I collected in the '80s, and I haven't trimmed the fat yet, or I don't think it's fat. Of I have 2 Kirby Puckett cards, right? I have the '85 Topps Tiffany rookie with a PWCC designation on. I think like a PWCC like that 15%. It's a really nice looking card, very clean, crisp, you name it. It sells for like $5,000. Right? I have thought about selling that. Not because I think it's a shitty card, not because I think it should be, worth less or worth more, or because I think it's quote fat that I should be trimming. But I do get concerned. Someone like you, who is not even young, right? You're younger than me. Ask me who the hell's Kirby Puckett and why do people care about him?
I think we talked about him a few days ago.
We did. We talked about him last week, right? So and that brings it into my brain because you're like, who the hell's Kirby Puckett and why should I care? You're not going to buy Kirby Puckett cards. My son and his generation, when they grow up and they're the next people who are pushing the hobby, I think they may go after Mickey Mantle still. I think they may go after Babe Ruth still. but I'm not 100% sure that they go after Kirby Puckett or Ty Cobb. So there is still that. I mean, it's not as easy as go buy old shit that's not shiny. And even the old shit that's popular now might be popular because some of the guys with money are in their 50s and 60s, and that was cool for them. Or people like me who, may buy a Duke Snyder card because that was my dad's favorite player, but you don't even know who the hell he is.
Yeah, I think he's a musician.
He's the Duke of Flatbush, man. Play the outfield for Brooklyn Dodgers.
Is there a play to be made on these Hall of Fame established guys who are having a secondary career in business or in media?
Like?
We go to these autograph shows, and some guys are like just there to like sign and get out. Other guys are, Shaq, but the Shaq of like the 80s or 70s. Julius Erving's one I'm thinking about, who I actually think he's going to be more and more and more revered as time goes on with his imprint on like basketball in the NBA behind the scenes.
Could be. And he's also, he has one rookie card. It's nice and easy.
You love the one rookie card.
You could argue, though, that his most iconic card is not even his rookie.
It's the fro on the Nets?
It's the one where he's the center of the Magic and Bird rookie.
Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. Anything else?
No, but I like that. I think I would go a different way, right? Maybe the Mannings, but maybe Eli, because Peyton is already revered. Maybe Eli because of their career. I honestly don't know how media, impacts a couple years here and there of being do you find yourself buying Tony Romo cards because he's doing color?
Tony Romo hates Mahomes. If I had a Tony Romo card, I would have sold it after his absolutely biased commentary on Mahomes. Anyone who doesn't get on their knees and acknowledge that Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time is basically dead in my book. And secondarily, if they don't acknowledge how terrible Kirk Cousins is, I don't even want to hear it.
Well, listen, we don't get plays, but I would seriously be considering. We give away all our good stuff here. That's why we love you guys. Looking at cards of Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy. Don Mattingly's already had a whole bunch of support from his fans, so not so much. But Fred McGriff, Dale Murphy, not so much Albert Bell. I don't really think he has a legitimate chance.
Hotshot loves Albert Bell.
But I like Albert Bell also. But he was a Cleveland Indians.
Is he the one that decked that guy running for
Bell was just Bell. He was a beast. But Fred McGriff played in the 80s, played for Toronto and played for the Braves, and he played right before steroids, right? He was one of the best players, perennial all-star, one of the best players of all time. Finished with, I think, the Tampa Bay at the time Devil Rays, not just Rays. And I remember rooting for him as a kid because the numbers, the counting stats meant something. And he got very close to 500 home runs. I think he would retire with like 492 or even 496. Like if he was quitting today, somebody would let him stay and convince him to stay and get the 500 and monetize it, in the uniform. He really tailed off and he tried to finish it up. But if you look, 492, 496, he had other counting stats. He was never the best player in the league. He probably wasn't even really top 10 MVP of that, but his counting stats are great. And he got so close to that almost before steroids, almost automatic. You had 500 home runs, you were in. He was also a good guy, had a cool nickname, the Crime Dog. Fred McGriff, like McGruff, Crime Dog, and just a great player. Same thing, Dale Murphy, right? Was clean, but wasn't no steroid kind of like dark shadow being cast on him. Played before that, rookie in the 70s, was the face of the Braves franchise for a very long time. Those guys are up for the next Hall of Fame vote in December for the Recent Times Committee. I forget what the hell it's called, but they're also voting on Bonds and Clemens and Schilling and those guys. I think that McGriff, Dale Murphy, their cards are nothing. They're literally nothing. McGriff's got a cool 86 Donruss rookie card. It was the same year as Jose Canseco. He's got some cool cards that are probably pennies on the dollar. Harold Baines got in the Hall of Fame, and it surprised the hell out of everybody. And all of a sudden, his 81 Topps card 10x'd overnight. The same kind of thing could happen for McGriff, Dale Murphy, those guys. I'd keep an eye on that. I'm pretty sure the vote is December 4th or something like that. It's coming up soon. It's like a 16-person panel. It's not like the writers. It's a committee for the whole damn committee, and I think you have to get 12 of the 16 votes to get in. Just something to keep an eye on. Those guys' cards they're not really going to go down. Like the downside is not there, but there is some potential upside if you want to sneaky little gamble play.
Luca Nation, a brain dump episode. I think this is chaos for me, but maybe you guys love it.
People love the Monday brain dumps.
They love it. What jargon or what slang don't you understand? Drop it in the comments. Kit Kats in the shower
what does that mean?
Perplexed the entire day. Cousins, Mahomes, Cage's theory on investing, and a lot of really good points. Annoying, but good points nonetheless. And we'll be back tomorrow.
Forget everything I said. Just buy Mahomes, hand over fist. It's Mahomes, and Mahomes.
Well, here's where cards are interesting, confusing, fun. I knew before the season that Mahomes was going to have a way better year than all those guys, but that didn't necessarily mean that his card prices would do the same. And and then even if his card prices did the same, which cards do you buy of him? So there's thinking about that 3 layers: picking the quarterback, hoping that quarterback's performance dictates card prices, and then hoping that those card prices are the cards you're holding. So it's a trifecta. So it's all fun.
It's hard. Look at the learnings. Look at the learnings of Andrew Goldberg. You could be right.
Look at the baby.
I'm the asshole. I'll never eat here.
So that's another episode. We have Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged coming out Wednesday. PWCC recap from Cajun. Some really interesting opportunities from a buying standpoint. He goes into that. The comments are fascinating. So that's another episode. Premiere ends on Thursday. It's very much a bellwether auction of how the hobby does.
I'm high bidder on 3 items right now at Premiere.
None of them are Mahomes. Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb's underwear, and then Baby Ruth's
1 Luka, 1 Babe Ruth, 1 Mickey Mantle. I'm a high bidder on 3 cards right now.
Luka gives him more confidence because he's so beloved and he doesn't play football where he gets smashed all the time. So that's another episode. Cage, thank you for bringing the house down.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.